everybody, Andrew Cuneo here, and good news, I've learned how to spell Decathlon. I'm going to be doing another run through the sealed leg of the Decathlon, which I did a previous video on where I didn't do very well. My pool was quite bad. Hopefully I get a better pool. Just as a reminder, this is 2-packs Dominaria, 2-packs Dominaria United, 2-packs Brothers War, so it's kind of a mashup sealed. That means that a lot of the more synergy-specific cards are going to be a little bit weaker, and just cards that are, you know, just generically good cards are going to be better. All right. This looks a little bit fortuitous. Siege Gang Commander's great. Goblin Chain Whirler may be a little bit hard to play. It's going to be real good if I can get to, like, maybe 10 sources of red at a minimum. This thing is pretty good, as I recall. The legendary creature you control dies. I guess I need legendary creatures. Then, obviously, Autonomous Assembler is just going to be a generically good card. What does this thing do? This is okay. It's a sweeper, but it gives 2/2 black creatures, and if you have enough time, you can save some of your stuff. I didn't, as I said in the previous video, I didn't play any Dominaria United Limited. This card looks not great to me. Let's see what the other two rares are. Arena doesn't have the technology to show you all of your rares if there's some of these, I don't even know what they're called. It's because the Brothers War packs have a second rare slot for artifacts. So we got a Precursor Golem and we have a Thran Spider. Those are both pretty nice. So this is something that wants you to have artifacts in your deck. So without looking at the rest of the cards, maybe I could be like a red-white deck. I would get to play... Man, I don't even really need to be white, but this is a little bit better if you're playing white. I think I'm almost definitely going to play red, but we'll see what the rest of the cards are. Just kick each player sacrifices a creature. It's nice to have that option, but that's not something that demands that you play black mana for sure. So not a ton in white that's really all that appealing. What's this card? Some sort of counter. Seems like blue has some solidish stuff, but really nothing that exciting. 2 Academy Journey Mages is kind of nice. You don't really need a wizard to go with the Academy Journey Mage. It makes it better for sure, but it's not required. Caligo Squin, which is quite good. I bet Shadow Prophecy is pretty good in this sealed format. Transmigrant Altar, that's probably kind of bad. So red, which I thought was going to be one of my better colors. Shivan Fire, Thrill of Possibility. This thing's fine. Chain Whirler, which is like a maybe. Goblin Warchief was kind of sad in Dominaria, but it does go really well with having Siege Gang Commander. What's this thing? So this is more support for being like a red-white aggressive deck. I've had the Scrap Smith in previous pools in this, and I didn't think it was very good because I didn't have enough artifacts, but I do actually have I had a couple of pretty good artifacts. I had Precursor Golem. Lodestone Golem isn't anything special, but it's fine. And the Autonomous Assembler. So these might actually be good in this deck. Dragon Whelp's going to be very good if I'm a heavy red deck. 4/4 reach. Deals damage to the opponent equal to the number of basic lands you control. It's like 5 mana 4/4 that's going to do 2 or 3 damage when it comes into play. That's fine. I guess reach is nice. Ooh. We have Mishra's Juggernaut and a Falafel Dragon Engine. Nice. You have a Llanowar Elf. That's nice. This Domain guy. So green gives me an okay assortment of creatures. No spells of note, though. What's this guy do? So if I have some sort of a sacrifice theme, that would be good. And this thing wants legendary creatures, which I do have Slimefoot. So I could conceivably be like the white, black, green deck that's doing some Legends synergies. I suspect that's not going to be what I want to do because I think that my red cards are going to be so strong I want to play them. This equipment actually isn't horrible. +2/+1 is a respectable buff. It's probably better than Jousting Lance, just because it's 1 cheaper to equip. Not that Jousting Lance is an insanely great card, but it's okay. So the Precursor Golem, it's always interesting if you have other golems. Lodestone Golem is another golem, which that's a bit of a downside, probably. It's unlikely I have very much stuff that makes the Precursor Golem ability desirable. It's not impossible, but I'd be a little surprised. So I think I want to start by looking at, what if I'm a heavy red deck? What was my dual land situation? I have a black dual land, I have this land. I have Meteorite. I don't have to play the Chain Whirler if I'm going to play red. But between the Chain Whirler and like Dragon Whelp, once you'd have a good amount of mountains. Siege Gang Commander, you know, you need at least double red to cast it. And ideally, you're going to have access to triple red, so you can really take advantage of the sacking. So that's a lot of stuff that really wants me to be fairly heavy red. So if we look at red, well, this guy, I will definitely play him if I'm playing red-white. If I'm not red-white, maybe not. I think that the Scrapsmiths are actually good in my deck. I think I'm going to have a pretty substantial number of artifacts. This thing probably is going to make my deck, but it might not. Just because I think I'm going to have a good number of 5 and 6 mana plays. So I don't know that I want another one. It might be the weakest of them. So this is, what, 14 cards already? And it's almost entirely creatures. So I have 1 Shivan Fire. It's my only dedicated removal spell. Siege Gang Commander gives you access to, you know, effectively some removal for small creatures. Same thing with Chain Whirler. And then a Thrill of Possibility, which is just, you know, fine. I can easily add, like, at least, maybe I'll add one of those. So I think what I need to be looking for is what additional color can I add to my deck to get a little bit more interaction. And black actually doesn't really offer very much. It offers me a Bone Splinters, which is It would be fine. My deck isn't great at making things to sack. Like, I would maybe, you know, be hoping to sack like a Scrapsmith that found me an artifact. That would probably be about as good as it was going to get. So that's not ideal. If I'm white, I'm going to get this thing. Oh, and I'm going to play the autonomous assembler regardless of whether or not I'm playing white, but it gets better if I'm white. So this is what I meant about having the glut of 5-drops. So what do I get in terms of like interaction from being just red-white? I think Gideon's Reproach is going to be better for me than Nidalee Riposte. I could play both of them conceivably. I don't need to. Am I playing enough stuff that I would want to play this? Not really. I think the thing I'm missing, in addition to interaction, is some cheaper cards. So, what? If I played white, I would probably play Disenchant. Gideon's Reproach. And I have this thing, which is just a 3/1. I could maybe I'd play like some land that would every once in a while give me access to black mana. But I certainly wouldn't play a swamp. I think I have a red-black dual land I could maybe play. I have another 3/1. Don't think I would play this. I think it's going to be worse for me than Dub would be. This thing would give me some fodder for like sack synergies, but my only sack synergy is this sleeper. So this card is, it's obviously fine. I don't know that it's exciting though. If I just wanted another 2-drop, I could play Mine Worker. That's pretty bad. I don't think I want to play Sorcerer's Wand. So white doesn't look like it's clearly the best. I think it might be the best, but let's consider what the other options are. What if I played green? That would give me Llanowar Elves would probably be fine. This thing. This is, it would be fine for sure. But I'm not going to be putting like, I'm not going to be a crazy domain deck. So what green is giving me is a bunch of fine creatures. I guess Broken Wings is pretty good. I would play that too. Like, this thing always has disappointed me somewhat. I get this land. That's kind of nice. If I really wanted to, I could stretch my mana and play Slimefoot, probably. Because I've got a red-black land, Crystal Grotto. Maybe I play Meteorite. The thing is that this really, what I'm hoping for in my supplementary colors, a little bit more interaction, and I'm really just getting Broken Wings. It solves some of my curve issues, assuming I can play a good amount of green sources, like at least 7. I probably would want to play like 7 forests, which it's going to be tight trying to get to 7 forests and also play enough red sources for Chain Whirler to be reasonable. It might be more like 6 forests in the Crystal Grotto. I think green would be pretty good if I had gotten a green-red dual land. All right, so what if we instead play blue? What do we get for that? I do like divinations and sealed. This thing would be kind of bad in my deck. Get a bounce spell. Relic Runner. It would have a lot of ways to trigger. So it would be a passable 2-drop. This is another bounce spell. And I would get these Academy Journey Mages with no wizards, which contributes to my glut of 5-drops. This thing would be fine-ish. Time of Ice. I hate this card so much. It might be fine in this deck, but I think that this card is like one of the most overrated cards in the history of Limited across all formats. I guess that the win rate data probably exists on 17 lands for Dominaria. I'd be curious if the win rate data on Time of Ice is actually better than, like, higher than Befuddle. I bet it's not. And Befuddle is a card that people thought was like a last pick. Not loving these blue cards. The main issue with the blue is that, again, I'm hoping to get interaction, and it gives you some interaction with bounce, but I'm getting it in the form of like more 5-drops, which that is not what I want. I think the thing to do is to just play white. White makes the autonomous assembler better. I get this Keldon Strike Team, which I think is going to be a pretty good card for me. I do get some 2-drops, which I wanted. Are there any other cards I identified as I definitely wanted to play in white? I don't really think I want to play Dub. I could play this Onulet, which is another 5-drop, but it's also an artifact hit for the Scrapsmith, which is pretty nice. And it gets cast off the Power Stone from the Thran Spider, which is pretty nice, and it's a hit for the Thran Spider. If I'm really going to live the dream, I'm going to have the Scrapsmith play it on turn 3 and like find Precursor Golem or something, and also mill the Onulet. It's a pretty big game. Definitely going to play this Crystal Grotto. I think over a mountain, actually, which this is going to make my... This is a kind of an optimistic Chain Whirler, for certain. I don't think I'm so desperate for artifacts that I'm going to play the Aesthir Glider. Or the Meteorite. How many creatures is this right now? 16. So I could play another equipment. That wouldn't be like the worst. What are the choices? An Onulet, an equipment, Sergeant at Arms. Which kicking Sergeant at Arms requires double white mana. I think the Onulet's going to be one of the cards. And I think the other card's just going to be another equipment. So, which is better, the Heirloom or the Lance? There's some argument that if I'm going to have, you know, if I happen to draw both of them, I'd probably prefer to have one of each. The Lance also is probably a little bit better with the, like, the 3/1s for 2. The Scrapsmith, and this guy's a 3/1. Yeah, I probably have enough high power, low toughness creatures that I should play the Lance, even though it's a little bit more expensive to use. Alright, let's try it like this. This pool's definitely better than the previous pool I did a video with, but I still don't think it's a particularly good pool. I'm gonna guess I get 5 wins with it. Reasonable curve here. It's going to be interesting what I play on turn 3. Please don't have fungal infection. If I was playing pure Dominaria and like if it was triple Dominaria and somebody passed with black mana here, I probably would have played the 2/2 over the 3/1 just because of fungal infection. With the density of fungal infections being, you know, a third what it would be in just pure Dominaria, I think it was better to go for the thing that hits harder. Alright, given that this thing can block Soul Tender, I'll just play the Thorn Spider. Hopefully they don't have too many artifacts in their deck. They don't appear to be, you know, color combo that's necessarily going to have a ton of artifacts. Alright, glad I played the Thorn Spider. I'm 100% going to block that. I don't know if my opponent realizes the Thorn Spider has reach. This card does. That's pretty good. So if I want, I can just play this and put this on it, promising to trade. It seems reasonable to me. I am going to be giving them the opportunity to get this thing, or to use the ability on this to get this back. That's a lot of mana, though. I don't really have a way to do anything about the fact that they might want to... What do they do? Okay. A little bit confused about my opponent's plays. Or 2. I can't believe that they didn't have fungal infection on turn 2, and then they drew 2 fungal infections, and then they played them so bizarrely. I'm gonna let them deal damage, just because this attack was kind of suspect, sending the 1/1s into my 2/2. Now that I've dealt damage, I'm gonna kill the Frost Strider. So I played in a way where I've taken 4 damage that I didn't necessarily need to take, but I played this combat safely, essentially. Okay, they're just gonna counter the Gideon's Reproach. That's fine. I could have... I think I missed a point of damage by letting the auto-tapper tap my mana in a way that wasn't great. Every creature you control dies, scry 1. I see. I think I'm going to be winning if what they do is they use the Soul Tender to get back Urtai to kill one of my flyers. My flyers are going to be hitting pretty hard. It's a falafel dragon engine. Some people have asked me why Arena hasn't corrected the spelling error on all of these falafel cards, and the answer is I don't know why. It's pretty clear that there's a lot of typos in the names of cards from this set, though. If they attack with this thing, with only this, I would trade with it. If they're attacking me with the 4-power guy, I'm going to trade with the 4-power guy. Or they're letting me eat the 1/1. I guess I'll just eat the 1/1. My life total's still pretty high. That's a reasonable attack by the opponent. They're getting the scry and they're getting a bunch of damage. They find a removal spot for the Dragon Whelp, and I continue to mostly draw planes. They're certainly going to have a good chance to win. You're getting priority. It's not... Right. Wow, the Onulet to the rescue. Did I mill my Siege King commander? I did not. You got a 1 in 16 chance to draw it next turn. So this is they drew the card they scribed at the top. Alright, this is probably one of the best cards in their deck, but it's not actually that good in this situation. I was kind of expecting them to have scribed to the top a removal spell for the Dragon Whelp, and then the game would be a little scary for me. This is a not very good attack if they don't have a spell in their hand that does something, which... I think that they don't have a spell in their hand that does something, because I'm pretty sure they just scried Gix to the top, and this is whatever card is in their hand is the same card that was in their hand last turn that they didn't use. I suppose it's possible that the Gix was the card that was in their hand last turn. But I'm thinking that's not what happened. Okay. Maybe that's biggest through. They're obviously planning to use this Urtai to kill the Dragon Whelp. Disenchant is not a very good draw. I didn't do the math before I attacked to see if the Dragon Mob could just kill them with the equipment. It couldn't. Wait. They needed to jump block if they wanted to live. Perfectly fine hand. Alright. It would have been a little bit interesting if I hadn't seen my 4th land there. Like, what spells do I play on turn 2 and turn 3? Because I do want to be getting my land drops so I can get Precursor Golem in play on turn 5. ETB, gain 2 life. That's not a bad card. The way my draws worked out, though, I think it's fine to just curve out. A little bit sad to whiff with this guy. But X has a good density of hits. Levitating Statue. This card was surprisingly good in Brothers War. There's quite a curve of features going on. So if they just sink mana into this, they're hitting me for 5 a turn in the air. They didn't have that next turn for the Precursor Golem because that would have killed all of my golems, including the Lodestone Golem. If I need to, I can throw a possibility away the Amulet and then unearth it if, like, I really need to gain 2 life to survive a potential swing. Also, next turn, if I just need a haste creature to kill them, I could do that. I obviously need a 6th land, but I could dig for a 6th land with throw possibility potentially. Precursor Golem hits so hard if they don't have a removal spell for it. Alright, that's a pretty good spell. Does this help me? So I haste this on over. I don't have to attack with the 1/1s, right? So they go block, block. I'm hitting them for 11. They crack back with this thing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Block and live like that. This is a spot where I maybe could have benefited from thinking a little bit more. Right, that's a terrible block. If you're going to block one of the 3/3s, definitely block the token. They've gone down to 5. If they send this thing over at me, I'll probably block it with a 1/1. And they'd have a 1/1 to block. I might not block it because having these two, like, if I attack next turn with both of these, they're almost guaranteed to get through, like, assuming I attack with everything, which puts them to 3, which means they have to have 3 blockers to survive. And potentially they have to have 4 blockers to survive because I'm going to have this hasty Amulet, quite likely. I just need 1 land in my top 3 cards. guess they live now if they leave everything back. I'd be a little surprised if that's what they decide to do. Does this help my cause? Turns this into 3 power, so then they're taking 4. That's not enough. We need a land for the Onulet. Or like Shiv and Fire would also do it. This is lethal. Missing a color here, but perfectly fine hand. I've got 2-drop, 2 other castable spells. An early and aggressive Aeronaut Wings. Which I can destroy that with my... this guy, right? It's just 1. There's no tapped in the sacking. Okay. I don't have any 1-drops that I would cast, so I'm just going to pass and leave Thrill of Possibility up. I don't really want to play the Jousting Lance this turn with the idea of equipping it next turn. Like, that's... I'm just not developing my board enough early on in the game if I'm sinking that much mana into just, like, making a 4-2. I think it's way better to play Thrill of Possibility here and, like, have a potentially better turn next turn. And notably, you don't need white mana to cast the Onulet. That's why I kept it in my hand over the Knight of New Benalia. Even though, as we saw in the previous game, it is sometimes nice to get this thing into the graveyard. I don't think this is one of those spots. This is potentially going to be great. Because they didn't do anything on 3 mana. So when they get the 4 mana, if they don't have an artifact here, they're not going to do anything. Alright. Well, they had something they can do. It wasn't as great as I'd hoped. But it cleared the way for the Onulet, and we all know the Onulet's the MVP. That's 2 mana to do that. I don't think I have to kill this thing. Well, I don't have mana to save it. I'm gonna wait and see what they do with their turn. I guess if they just passed, it's a little bit annoying for me. Just rather than null 2/2. Life for me. I think I am going to kill this. Now that they didn't cast a like some sort of, you know, 5 or 6 mana rare that I could kill it by kicking. This thing's a little annoying. For sure. I don't think there's anything I could hit here that would change my attack. But I also don't think there's really any chance that they're blocking. Regardless of what I do. Oh, okay, they're gonna block. A little bit surprising. They called in the cavalry. force them to try doing this. Had I equipped this there, they would have gotten to make one, they would have gotten a block and trade on either this creature or that creature. I think this is a little bit better. Especially when I've got 2 equipment. Like keeping bodies in play. It's nice. I could have gotten them to 2, but been down one of these 2 creatures, which I think is worse. Yeah, because now this is almost definitely going to be lethal. I'll just move one of the equipment. I suppose they could have like fungal infection or disfigure, but they don't appear to. Chainwhirler's looking like it might not get to participate this game. But this is still a very strong hand, I think. I might want to Shiv and Fire their 2-drop. Also, it's not really clear that I know exactly how I want to scry. I think I am going to go ahead and Shiv and Fire this just because it's so mana efficient. Okay. Either I'm going to be wrong or I'm about to start doing some losing. I can't imagine there's many hands with this deck I would keep that don't have red mana, but this is actually one of them. Trying an extra planes for my first draw stuff was not ideal. Okay. Oh, I can target any assembly worker. I actually have some assembly workers at my sideboard. The mine worker, and I think I have the tower worker too. That synergy is not enough to make me want to play them, but it is a little bit interesting. I think the plan here is just play this thing. It potentially slows them down. It's a little annoying to give up on the counter for that guy. The turn. I think it's worth it. I don't really want to attack. If I attacked with this, they would just double block it. If I attack with this, they'd block there. If they attack with the cohort, I will block it with the Banalish Sleeper. Now I can attack with the Autonomous Assembler. A little bit of danger that they might have. Like if they have Gideon's Reproach, it's really painful for me here if they double block and then I activate. And it turns out they have Gideon's Reproach. I'm not going to play around that though. I'm just going to accept my fate if that's what they've got. I guess I'll choose to deal 1 less point of damage to have the option of blocking with this. Are there any other assembly workers in play? Why do they keep on asking me to target? So now they have the ability to use the paratrooper. I can actually just Steel Crusher the cohort. But if I do that, they can just block with the Cult Conscript and bring it back right away. So I don't think there's a reason to do that immediately. I think I'm just going to pass. At the end of their turn, if they just pass back in the same fashion, I would Steel Crusher the cohort. This isn't the game where I cast the Shivan Fire, no. Them having this in play is getting to be pretty annoying. Should I just kill the cohort? I think I'm happy with that trade, so I think I am going to do that. Not the world's greatest trade for me. Maybe should have attacked with the sleeper and just sucked up the sleeper trading with the 1/1 to potentially get some damage in with the golem. If they have decent spells in their hand, I'm gonna lose, because my hand is not really that good, and I need a mountain to be able to play the cards. It's like I need to burn a land, I need to burn a draw step on a land to even turn on my other 2 cards. Maybe the Mishra's Juggernaut's gonna carry me to victory. I'd be a little surprised if that was what happened. That's actually a really good draw. It's very suspicious they didn't attack with this guy. I'm gonna let this trade go through. I want to let both of these trades go through. Yes, it's so likely. I really thought they had a spell here. They did not. Like, if they had a take up the shield there, I'd just get crushed if I play my Shivan Fire first. I could have played Shivan Fire pre-combat, but if they have take up the shield, I still have to attack with this Mishra's Juggernaut, so it's not like that really saves me that much. About as bad as they could go. My overly cautious play has definitely hurt me a lot this game. I should have pumped that for a point. Oh no. So much of my game plan hinged on the Mishra's Juggernaut threatening them. Not sure I would be winning if I had played the Shivan Fire at one turn. What would have happened is probably the Mishra's Juggernaut would have survived and would have traded with the Writhing Necromass. I'm keeping this hand on the strength of the fact that Siege Gang Commander is just probably the best card in my deck. Let's see if we can find a 2 or 3 drop. Not yet. Certainly happy to ascribe that land at the bottom though. I think I am going to play Gideon's Reproach on the Harvester. It might have been nice to play to try to trade with the Scrapsmith, but here they played another card that I'll happily trade with the Scrapsmith. Should I play these two this turn? I guess. I don't really want to... I guess I would spend 2 mana this turn if I didn't play the Assembler, but I already know that I want to play on turn 5 the Siege Gang Commander, so... that makes that kind of easy. Alright, please don't have something that makes my Siege Gang Commander look bad. Can't imagine what that would be, but maybe it exists. Okay. It had enough. I wouldn't say it's great. It doesn't really have any of my better cards in it, but it has a 2-drop and it's 4 lands, 3 spells. It's pretty reasonable. I don't know what this card does. Oh, it's not a bad card. This card is definitely not a bad card. Is this a soldier? No, it's a wall. This tapper's pretty effective against my equipment. It's a little bit obnoxious that the Transpider does give them a mana source they can use on the Clockwork drawbridge. But 2/4 reach, and also it's giving me a mana source I'm going to be using. Is this an artifact? It is. Is this an artifact? Wow, they're just going off. Next turn I'll be able to play the Transpider and the Juggernaut. And my deck makes good use of the Power Stones, so... they've definitely bought a lot of time for themselves, but it's not entirely clear that they're gonna... this is, in the end, gonna work out in them winning. The drawbridge is back. I think I'm just going to play the Falafel Dragon engine as a big guy. Don't really want to take a hit from this Evra. And they do have a tapper, so I'm willing to double block Evra. I would expect that's what I'm going to wind up doing if they choose to attack me. So they accomplished nothing by spending 4 mana there. They would have been at 19 life either way. So they're going to tap one of these two. Doesn't really matter which one. I want to leave this back to block. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and attack. And I'm not going to put my equipment on anything to start. So they want to race. A little scary. Please have nothing. I don't know what this card does. Still died. So they were essentially cycling, I guess. I have 4 lethal attackers, so they definitely need something. What does this do? That's pretty good. Is there any artifact I could find that would do anything? I don't think so. Should I move the equipment from the Thran Spider? guess it prevents them from trading with the Juggernaut. I don't really care if they trade with the Juggernaut. By saving my mana, I'm going to activate the Thran Spider on my turn for sure. So maybe I could find something else I would cast. Like, there's a Precursor Golem in my deck still. They probably should have tapped the Mistress Juggernaut anyway. I'll end up taking some trample. And they... well... I guess they traded rather than chumping, so that's fine for them. Hey, it's that Precursor Golem I was talking about. Alright, opponent, this is going to be a tough one to come back from. They did gain me 2 life there. That game was close. Is this a good enough hand to keep? I hate mulliganing. This is definitely borderline, though. I have 2 castable spells, and one of them is a removal spell, which, if you're thinking about keeping borderline hands, having castable removal spells is something that you should be looking at, because it means that you're gonna get to, like, the game's gonna last more turns. You're guaranteed to get more draw steps, essentially, for your hand to work out. And this looks like it's going to probably work out fine. I now have a 3rd castable spell, and I'm only 1 land off of the Lodestone Golem. They're targeting my Jousting Lance already? I'm just going to go ahead and offer the trade here, which I kind of assume they're going to take. It's a little bit sad because I have the Jousting Lance, but we know next turn I'm going to be playing the Lodestone Golem. And then the turn after that, I'll be casting either Mistress Juggernaut, or if I haven't drawn a land, we'll probably draw a different spell to cast. So there's just not going to be a time when I really want to spend my mana on the Jousting Lance. Please have nothing. They don't appear to have nothing. They're getting priority. They have something. We can safely say they have something. All 5/3s all the time. That's what this deck is. Sparring Construct, not what you're looking for on, what's it, their turn 6, turn 5 maybe? Now, finally, Jousting Lance gets to get in on the act. There's not really any merit to trying to cast the Steel Crusher pre-combat, because if it only costs 2 mana, maybe it would make sense to put in play over the Gideon's Reproach. They are sitting here with an artifact in play, so like maybe they're going to do something with their artifact to make it better. But of course, having access to Gideon's Reproach in combat is also a really big deal. I guess, what was their plan with the chumping on this, with this Barn Construct? I guess this was going to cause that to live, and then it was going to grow to a 2/4? That wasn't a very good plan. Alright. Nice. That deck performed better than I was expecting. It was kind of an oddball deck. You don't often see like the red-white artifact deck. So I've gotten my second Decathlon token. My goal is to get, I think, 3 of them, so I can play in the Decathlon finals. If you get 7, I think you can play in the finals twice. I don't know if I'm going to have time to play enough events to get to 7. That was my 3rd sealed attempt. One of them I didn't make a video on. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will have some more videos for whatever I'm going to do to get my 3rd token, and maybe I'll keep working and take a shot at 7. Probably not, though. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.